I thought that I might start by reading a quote that I found on Instagram not too long ago about the Black Lives Matter movement and the upsurge that we've had recently, and how kind of how we might think about where it's going to go. So it's from Lizzo, and she says, "Protest is not the end of progress, it is the beginning. I wonder what would happen if all the big companies and celebrities who have showed support on social media came out and used their platform to let activists and protesters speak and be seen. I wonder what would happen if we allowed the outrage to have positive influence in our local government. What would happen if those in power defunded the police and dismantled their racist culture and corrupt power structures? Cities are burning. Are you watching? I stand with Minneapolis. I believe in us all. Change is going to come." And so that was from, I don't have the date, but it was from a little bit earlier on when the protests were kind of really raging. And I think that for those of us living here in quiet Kent County, it's important to remember that the veneer of quiet doesn't mean that there is none of that rage underneath that really needs to be addressed. And I'm personally, I'm frightened that we are going to let this moment pass without real change, but I'm also really hopeful because it's a moment when everyone is paying attention to an existential problem that we've had for as long as we've been here, and that we, in my belief, will not be able to, we're not going to be able to really make progress until we talk about it. So I'm glad that we have this opportunity and the moment of attention to bring everybody into the conversation. And so with that, I am very happy that John Queen has accepted my invitation to be our special guest tonight, and to talk about racial justice, and action, or whatever comes up. And as a brief introduction, John, as I'm sure everybody knows, is the co-founder and president of the Bayside Hoyas, which is a business in downtown Chestertown, which provides mentoring and services and support and leadership for young people in Kent County. And John has also started the Black Union of Kent County, which I'm sure he can tell us about. He came and talked to me about it, I don't know, maybe like 6 months ago or something. And said, I have this idea and I want to get it going, but, I'm just talking to people right now because I'm not quite, ready to publicize it. And I said, yeah, I'm in, let's go. Tell me when you're ready. And so I'm glad that we've gotten to this point, and I'm excited for our event on Friday, which is a partnership between the Black Union of Kent County, RiverArts, the town of Chestertown, Bayside Hoyas, the James Taylor Lynching Remembrance Coalition. I never am sure if I get those words in the right order. And who else, John? I'm forgetting somebody. Oh, I know, Heartland. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to John now and let us get started.
Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? You all can unmute your mics. Come on, unmute them. I like hearing noise.
We're unmuted.
Hey, John.
Bring it.
Hi, John.
How y'all doing?
Hi, John.
We're on.
Got a nest of wrens. You might hear them eating in the background.
You're disrupting systems already.
Yeah, so
Love it.
I'll just do the a quick recap of who I am. I'm John Queen, president and co-founder of the Bayside Hoyas. Hoyas being an acronym for Helping Our Youth Achieve Success. We started that youth program in 2013 here in Kent County. We have expanded to Queen Anne's County to cover the northern part. Programming wise, indirectly and directly, we've reached over 250 youth. We have done over 1,500 hours of community service. And for the most part, that's pretty much what we've been doing with the Hoyas. Mariah alluded to something else I've started called the Black Union of Kent County, which is comprised of citizens of Kent County, kind of making a conservative effort to help the Black community with not just talking, with not just a bunch of group meetings or a bunch of platforms to say, hey, let's talk about the race issues, but giving solutions with statistical data and also attacking some of the specific areas that need to be attacked in the Black community. So.
All right.
Well, I'm going to speak up because nobody else is. I have had the grand fortune of having been invited to join the Hoyas board when it first started. And for me, this has been just an amazing, eye-opening opportunity. And to see the community through the way that people respond to the Hoyas, especially, I mean, it's been everywhere. Some people, and the people who we all see on the screen right now, have been supportive from day one. You know, the people who understand the problem and really give a damn. But there are so many people in Kent County who don't, who just don't get it at all, and who don't think of themselves as racist at all, but they make all the little incremental decisions along the way that alienate African American people. And some of it has been really overt, Kent County school system in particular. Not every principal in every school. Kent County High School has been the worst offender of all of it, and just polluted the water for everything the Hoyas have been doing. And I think they do what their board does, who does parents suggest, and I think it all comes back to just a constant level of continual racism across the county. And it's been really enlightening for me to be a part of this, but really disheartening for me to see this from here.
Zane actually has a different perspective, and his wife as well, because they're very involved with the Hoyas. He alluded to some of the, I don't want to exactly put racism on the school system, but some of the issues or discrimination or prejudice against the Bayside Hoyas. One could very possibly believe that it's because the co-founders are African American, but they have let another African American group in the school, so I can't really throw the racism on them. Also, I think what's going on now is white America is kind of feeling that guilt trip. A lot of people are seeing the fruits of a systemic society and the oppression it has had on Black people, and a lot of people are up in arms. In my opinion, the movement is a little bit, it feels different because of the younger engagement. Personally, as a Black man, do I think anything will change in America based on what we're seeing now? I don't. I haven't been given, in 42 years of my life, I haven't been given anything to point to say things are going to change. So if I sound pessimistic at times, it's just the Black coming out of me. It is quite, it's a good thing to see this many white people a part of this, where maybe some things could change systemically, and not really nationally, because we all have our views nationally, but here locally, I think a lot of the whites don't understand that there is racism embedded in the culture of Kent County. Right now, nationally, police genocide is the big issue, but we don't have that issue in Kent County. Police aren't killing blacks. Yes, Anton Black was from Kent County, and he was murdered a couple of 30 minutes away, but here it's more of a gentrification issue, a miseducation issue, a lack of access to wealth issue. Those are, and not even mass incarceration. So the 5 issues in the black community that plague us the most, or the major 5, are mass incarceration, miseducation, gentrification, access to wealth, and a mass incarceration, if I didn't say that one. Did I say it already?
Yeah.
Mass incarceration, gentrification, access to wealth,
Health.
Education.
miseducation. I'm missing one.
Somebody said healthcare.
It's not health care.
Police.
I'll figure it out later.
I have it written down here
And
somewhere.
police genocide, my fault. Police genocide. Yeah, so those are the 5. Here in Kent County, we're actually dealing with, and when I say we, I mean the Black Union of Kent County, we're in the stage of dealing with gentrification. So how the Black Union was kind of brought up is, and I don't want to be a ham with the camera, because I will take all the attention, chime in, ask any questions, because I want to make sure I'm articulating my point and you all are understanding. So the Black Union of Kent County is programming that I have had for 4 years already. A lot of times people say, well, Mr. Queen, what do you do? And I say, well, I do programming for the youth. I do programming for the community. The Black Union of Kent County is programming using the actual citizens. A lot of time I do programming, I'll use the people in the program, but I won't take too much advice from them because I have the data that I'm looking for. But with this one, I want everyone to feel involved, everyone to have say so. And just because it's the Black Union of Kent County, it doesn't mean whites can't join. And it also doesn't mean whites won't benefit. It is just for our mission statement, our focus is for blacks. A lot of times if you help blacks or people in poverty, you kind of help everyone. So I kind of want that to be the thing. You don't have to just be black to join. You don't have to be black to benefit from that. The mission statement for our Black Union of Kent County is to transform our community into one which all blacks are valued and thrive economically and culturally by creating policies, programs, and projects that lean towards bringing that a reality. So the big focus on policies, programs, and projects. So with those 3 in the mission statement, what we are going to do is attack the 5 major issues that I've already named in the black community. I think right now a lot of people are saying, well, how do you do that? Or what's next? Or where's the action coming? Built into this programming are 5 levels of empowerment. So before you get to the 5 levels of empowerment, what you must do is engage the black community. A lot of whites are confused on how to help because they haven't built a relationship with blacks. If you deal with blacks or people in poverty, you will learn that the #1 asset to those people are their relationships, because we don't have wealth. We don't have a lot of middle class aspirations, so to speak. So our relationships is what kind of holds our community together. Once you form that relationship, you must do these 3 things in building a relationship with not just blacks, but any community in this world. You must first gain trust. After you gain the trust, you will start building a relationship. After you build your relationship, you must reinforce the connection. What we're used to seeing in the black community is a time like this, everyone comes and runs in and say, hey, how can we help? And 2 years later, we're back down at Fountain Park doing another memorial for another dead person. When we combat this, using the 3 steps for the 5 major issues that plague the Black community, think of a 5-story building, and we use 5 levels of empowerment. So after you get the community, the first level would be economics. The Black dollar moves around in the Black community for 6 hours, and then it leaves. Other races or other cultures, it bounces around in the community 8 to 7 times, 12 to 14 times, and that money stays into the community. The Black dollar leaves immediately. I think yearly the Black dollar kind of contributes in spending $1.3 trillion. We have the money, but we don't know how to make the money work for us. We don't know how to produce sustainable businesses, and we just need to learn those type of things. So that would be the first level, is economics. The second level, now hold on, am I talking too much?
No, we want to know.
Am I making sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank y'all. That was nice. The second level of this 5-story empowerment is politics. You cannot run politics without economic backing. You need money to run a political campaign and to get people into office. Where whites are forcing the white privilege, so to speak, and let's clear up one thing, then I'll come back to politics. Yes, you all may benefit from white privilege. Don't wear it so bad as a guilt thing. It's systemic. You're benefiting from something that someone done 400 years ago. The same way I'm being punished for something someone has done 400 years ago. So don't beat yourself about white guilt. Some of you should beat yourself up, but let's not do that right now. Second level, politics. So what white people do to blacks is say, you got to get out and vote. You got to get out and vote. To date, not one black president. This is something, anything I say, you can research. We can have coffee later to discuss it. And I'll try to not only prove my point, but try to give you my experiences as well. Not one black president has done anything specific to blacks in America. Obama, first black president, and I always praise him for breaking that barrier, but he didn't do nothing for the black community. The black community is the same today as it was when Ronald Reagan was in office. It's the same when he was in office as JFK. You can go all the way back to our founding fathers. So politics would be the second step. The third floor in this building will have to be judicial or judiciary, the laws. Once you have the politicians, you can change the laws as far as effects of mass incarceration and police genocide. Some of these things that people are crying out now, like, let's do police reform. You can't reform a police department that's a part of a bigger umbrella of systemic racism. What are you going to reform? You're going to take more police off the street? That's not going to help. You're going to give them trainings that they should already have. You're banning chokeholds, which should never, ever be implemented anyway. So when people say reform the police, you got to go bigger to the 5 issues. It's police genocide we're trying to fix. That's the third level. The fourth level is media. Right now, everyone gets their news from white companies, and they do not always necessarily depict blacks in a positive nature. If something because a lot of times when I talk, I want to give you a real life experience and think back to, yeah, they did do that. Hurricane Katrina, they refer to American citizens as refugees. The media does that. Thugs, rioters, looters. Now, are some people doing these things? Yes, but they put that whole movement on what's going on now. And if you catch the news, a lot of people who are burning stuff down are white people. That would be media. The fifth and final level is education. Before you can educate me on who I am, because remember the 5 major issues, one of them are miseducation. And when you say miseducation, it means as a native black in America, you had your history stripped from you, your religion, your native tongue, and you were retaught by your oppressor. So miseducation is something that we have dealt with since we've been here. Once we get these other levels of the building of this 5-story empowerment in order, then we can re-educate not only ourselves, but all of America can be re-educated. So those are the 5 levels of empowerment. And those levels are how you move up and kind of engage and give power to the Black community. You can't do one without the other, and you must start at the bottom before you move to the top. Questions, comments, concerns? Y'all gotta give me one question. Come on, something.
Okay, I got a question. John, we have at RiverArts tried really hard to bring African Americans into our mix of events, to bring African Americans downtown, to get them involved in every organization I've in. We all struggle for that. And, you know, you made a comment that has stood out to me more than, and what you said tonight was brilliant. You've said a lot of that through the years, but one comment you made in particular has just stuck in my mind ever since the first board meeting after Trump was elected. And it was like the 2 days after the election. And we all came in and we were just totally disheartened. It was a really quiet meeting. It was just, you know how we all felt at that time. And your comment was, well, Whitey's back in charge.
Yes.
And I thought, that just hit me like that was what you expected. And like when you said earlier that this is a big change and you know, everybody's rushing in now, but you don't think it'll change. And to me, that was part of what you said then of that's what you expect.
Yeah.
Whitey's back in charge. And I'm wondering what, and this kind of goes back to when I said we're trying to get people involved, is the expectations of the Black community of, as there's a lot of goodwill, but there's not a lot of trust. The first thing you said we need to do is build trust. And how do we go about building the trust so that the African American community can start to feel that there's a chance that we can be heard, that we can change things, that all the things you said that need to change, that those can happen? Where do we start?
All right. First, let's touch on the, I'm gonna answer that question, but the Trump part. And the reason in that meeting I said, well, Whitey's back in charge, let's be clear, they have never lost control.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They have never lost control. But to the point, Donald Trump lost by 3 million votes on the popularity scale. And anytime I voted, if I got 10 and you got 7, I should be declared the winner. A lot of people are saying vote, but let's talk about the electoral system. How can you lose by 3 million and still be declared a winner? For someone like me, that's just showing no matter what you think, even when a white man loses, a white man wins, period. To the point about RiverArts, and not just RiverArts, let's just be specific. Downtown Chestertown. One of the 5 issues that plague the Black community, gentrification is one of them. The Black community was put out of that area. There's no reason for them to come south of the library. The stores, I hate to say this, I hope no one's a store owner, no one wants your stuff. We are not buying the things that are for sale. A person also said to me they were concerned about rioting here in Chestertown. We don't have to burn your business down because most of your businesses are struggling before any of this happened. So when people kind of want us to come downtown, give us a reason to come. The only time that people come downtown is for Legacy Day and when we're mourning the death of a Black person and we meet at Wilma Park or Fountain Park. So the gentrification has to be addressed here locally. Back to how we get the blacks, it's back to building that base of community and trust. Now, I work with a lot of people in Kent County, and I've came across most of you all in conversation or meetings, and we've seen each other. It's not a trust issue with me. It's more about finding who wants to build a relationship and working with. But when you have never went to the 400 block and spoke to them directly, how can you expect us to believe anything you say? When you have never been to Fairleigh projects or the projects down in Rock Hall, which I'm naming spaces where the minorities are because of gentrification, why should we believe coming to downtown Chestertown changes anything in our life? If you want us to listen, come in our community, really listen, and then help us move up that empowerment gap.
John.
RiverArts, even
John.
though I love y'all and have a partnership, go ahead, Carla. Y'all kind of out of date and out of touch with people in the community now.
I think that one of the things that Airlie said to me about the same issue, she said, stop inviting me to events and start inviting me to dinner.
Facts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
Like, show me you want to build a relationship with me. Stop showing me you're doing it because it's the trending. First off, racism is not a trending topic, people. It's a way of oppression that people are dying for in America. A lot of people are doing this to make themselves feel good. Stop doing that. You can't care about your feelings until you care about mine. Period.
What, how do you feel about Kid Spot and how Kid Spot is
Low battery.
invites all kids and is hoping to build community?
I got you. I'm gonna give two answers. I'm gonna give one good, one bad. The good is I personally feel like Kid Spot and a lot of other resources that offer anything to the community are vitally underused. That could be lack of information, lack of connection, whatever the reasons, bad business, it could be anything. So I do think what Kid Spot and a lot of other entities kind of offer in the community are good. The bad part is what you think is cool, we don't. What you think is young and interesting, we don't. So you all have to, not you all specifically, but anyone with these type of questions have to revamp themselves to connect to the times. A lot of people ask me, why am I so successful? Well, the generation I deal with are kind of 30 and under, and they are the voice. If you listen to them, you will get all your answers that you're looking for. So I think a lot of people have reached out, not RiverArts. I've always had a working rapport with them, but the Garfield building has reached out. I want to say, is it Steve Arnold? They've reached out. They have never reached out to me before. I'm getting a lot of people reaching out now, and I've been in this community for 10 years doing this work. So why now? And I'm gonna tell you how I personally look at people like that. You really don't want to be around me to help. You want to be around me to make yourself feel good and be nosy and go report back to your white friends.
I'm sure it's working.
So I look at this type of movement with, like I said before, very negative because I've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
So John, my name is Christina Jarvie. I actually grew up on the Eastern Shore, and I went away for college, and I was in Atlanta and DC, and I have been in lots of different educational roles. I'm a teacher, and I taught in Talbot County for 5 years when my husband and I moved back home to be closer to my parents. And I took 3 years off to raise my children, who are 2 and 5. And I'm returning to Sellersville Middle School next year in a 5th grade teaching role. And I heard you mention something about Northern
Queen Anne's County.
Yeah, I want to hear a little bit more about that. And I also just want to hear about your experiences the last 8 years, because I did some things in Talbot County, but I live here, but I've never engaged. I'd like to hear more about the Black Union too.
when you say experiences, in what aspect? Northern Queen Anne's County, being black, the Bayside Hoyas, what aspect, so I can be specific to it?
Yeah, I think Northern Queen Anne's County and what it is to be black in Northern Queen Anne's County and Kent County, and is that similar? Is that different? I felt like I said again, I have not like engaged with racism in Northern Queen Anne's County or Kent counties like since I was in high school, which I graduated in 2000, right? So because I was working in Talbot, I just never, I engaged there, I engaged in that community, I sort of understood things, I understood racism in Talbot County, but I'm just curious to hear like.
From my experiences, and when I say Northern Queen Anne's County, that's Sudlersville, Centerville, and kind of working back towards us.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. There's no different. You cross the border, it's still racism. It's still oppression. It's still blacks being murdered, blacks being mistreated. So there is no different. When you look at Queen Anne's County, if I asked you what part do the Hispanics live in, everyone would say Sudlersville immediately. If I ask that question in Kent County, you're all going to say Millington. So it's there. It's just, I hate to use this, you all have been so privileged of the color of your skin that you aren't forced to see this. A lot of times I tell some of my white associates and friends, let's get in the car together. I'm going to drive down a 25-mile-per-hour street doing 70. Let's see what the police do to me. And then 2 days later, you're going to do it doing 70 and see what you think. It's certain, we got a saying in the black community, your complexion is the connection. I don't have to know what you feel when you get pulled over by a police if you're black. It's something inside of my spirit and soul that knows they're fearing for their life. They might go to jail. Are they going to get away with a warning? There's certain things when you go to the school that you see as far as a black student. Now, a lot of teachers like to put it on behavior now. Well, they're a problem in the class. No, they're not. You are not connected to their culture and you don't understand how to teach them. So they kick those kids out of class. 9 times out of 10, blacks are being the ones kicked out at a disproportionate rate in Kent and Queen Anne's County. So it's racism here. It's just someone has to make you really look at it and question yourself enough to change. Also, America is looking for guidance right now. We are not getting any leadership from our president. Even if you voted for him, right now, he's kind of wishy-washy with his leadership skills. Here locally, we're looking for leaders, strong, collective, calm, and firm leaders to say, here's where we are and here's where we're trying to get. We don't have that in Kent County. Here's another thing of racism in Kent County. If you go to any meeting about helping the community, the first thing they say is, well, who are the black leaders? And I'm going to tell you the 5 names that come up there all the time. John Queen, Paul II, Ellsworth Tolliver, Reverend Brown from Bethel Church, and Sam Shogay, and sometimes Naveek Johnson. Your list is over. I know an 18-year-old kid, no job, struggling at home, but he's a leader in his community. I know a 33-year-old woman, single mom, 3 kids, struggling in her community, but she's a leader in that community. This is the community part, the trust, the build relationship part. You all wouldn't know a black leader if they smacked you in the face. Not to say it like that, because there's no violence, but you wouldn't recognize one. Whoever is black and articulate at the time gets the crowd. Oh, he's well-spoken. You might not say it out loud, but in your head, I know you're thinking it. Oh, that's a fresher breath air. We wasn't expecting that. When you think these type of things or see them right here happening, it's just appalling to me. I've sat in Zoom meetings and people have said with me in the meeting, well, where are the black leaders? And I'm sitting there, don't come to me now because you're white guilt is hurting you. And you want to know what John Queen says. When John Queen and the Bayside Hoyas, and not just me, other men in this community have been doing the work for 10 years. I need a reason to believe you want to help me, and your words will not do it. Not right now, not in society. Words are not going to help you. Your actions will help. Is my life better from interacting with you? Is my community better? Blacks want the same thing whites want. A good home, a quality education, and a loving family. There's no difference. But it is a difference on how one race get treated because of the color of their skin. So when people talk about what to do, my suggestion, you got to start with the Constitution of America. Racism was woven into that. You can't tell me a slave owner looking for land in a new territory has my best interest at heart when he brought me over here for free labor. Those are the type of conversations that should get addressed. Not just Black Lives Matter, everybody hold your fist up. And some people come out and give a great speech for the 3 minutes you're in front of a crowd. What have you broken systemically?
Well, and I think that's like the power of a teacher, right? Like for 5th grade, like I teach history, like I teach it, right? And so for me, like I had a good like local history of racism in Talbot County and even the systemic, like the economics and the real estate after the GI Bill. And like, I knew how the communities in Talbot County were built. And I knew that. I don't even know how I accessed some of that knowledge. It was part of the curriculum. I had a strong principle. And I guess for me, like I grew up here and I grew up white on the Eastern Shore and I have zero history for like, and my dad will tell me like, we grew up on Ewingtown Road. And like, he'll tell me stories about like sort of how that community, Ewingtown, developed and Pond Town's behind, you know, where like I grew up, whatever, it doesn't matter. I just don't have that history, right? And I don't know if it is woven into the curriculum in Queen Anne's County, like.
It is.
It is? Okay.
Yes.
Well, that makes me feel a little better.
Yes. You got to research.
Yeah.
These aren't conversations you take at face value. These are conversations I challenge people to do this. When I talk, say, I don't know if he knew what he was talking about. Let me go research that. And you'll come back with another answer or another question, and then that builds a deeper dialogue. There's racism, and America was built on race. It's constructed on race. So when a white person tells me, I don't know the history, I haven't seen this, it's kind of you flaunting your white privilege in our face.
Yeah.
You not you specifically. This is this is in general. You have to do the research. It's a shame that people don't know the history of not just Blacks, America. The reason you don't know our history is because we have never been on the winning side of history. The winners write history. The losers stay oppressed. Nothing has changed since the late 1600s. Nothing has changed since the civil rights. What's going to change now? That's the question I pose to all whites. What's going to change? And not what am I going to do? What are you going to do to change it?
Sandra, did you have something you wanted to ask? You're muted.
You gotta unmute it, Sandra.
Wow.
There you go.
We got you. We got you.
I guess that's a good, you unmuted. I guess it's a good thing because I've been mumbling here. I think, oh God, I want to say something. I want to say something. Hey, John, I really would like to have, this sounds funny. I can't invite you home for dinner because we live at Heron Point and we can't have anybody here. But I would like to meet you for coffee. And I tell you why. This is a whole lot of stuff that I want to hear more about. And I hope, as a recently retired board member from RiverArts, that we can do this again and again and again. But I have worked closely with 4th grade girls in Sudlersville Elementary. I know that community pretty well. It's awful. And you are totally right about a whole lot of things. And unless we listen, unless we empathize, unless we act, we're just going to lose this opportunity. So I'd like to see more of you.
You will.
The Carters know how to get hold of me.
Whenever this COVID lift up, I'm gonna be back in everybody's face again. The
Good.
wife is really on me about staying in the house. Because I have asthma, so I'm high risk. She is not playing. Like, she'll go out the house and make me stay in the house. So as soon as this can, but I can start holding meetings at my office because I can control the traffic and we can have social distancing. So
we can't go anywhere out of Heron Point. So
I'm always for a good conversation, but I just would say to whites, challenge yourself a little deeper than what you've been doing.
Yeah,
you have to wake up and wash your face in the mirror and be happy with that person. Not as who you are on the inside, but what have you done for your community and how have you helped?
I'd like to make a comment. I worked at Howard University Medical School for 10 years. And one of the things that happened over and over again was if people who I got along well with and we talked and we were friends, and the comment would be, Colleen, you can't be all white. You must have some black in you. You're too nice.
Oh.
And then the other, and I would usually say, you don't come much whiter than me. The other comment I'd get was, oh, then you're not American. You must be from Europe. Or people would say, and I found out after I left there, that a lot of people used to describe me as a very light-skinned woman. And the thing of that is, all those people I worked with didn't believe a white person could be somebody they could trust, that they could, share their lives with. I went to weddings, we partied together. But it's that issue of how we have been perceived and how we have treated people that makes it, I think, very hard for most blacks to trust whites. Because that certainly was my experience at Howard.
It's what I said earlier. Y'all have given us no reason to trust you.
That's right.
So that's something and I don't want this to come off wrong. If you're over 55, you're done fighting the fight we need. It's been enough civil rights. It's time for civil action. And that's what the younger generation is into. They're into that type of change. To your point, if a black person tell you, hey, you're not really white, that's a compliment.
Yeah.
It's a compliment. So when they say those type of endearing things to you, that means, hey, I can connect with this woman. I can bond with this woman. We might see eye to eye. But and for me personally, institutions and organizations have been discriminative against me and prejudiced. Some of it might have to do with my skin, but I have a lot of great white associate friends, and I hate to describe with color like that. I do business with 90% whites. That's not to say I'm not looking for blacks, but they're unestablished enough to even conduct business, which the second level of the story is economics, but it's a rough place in America right now. So I don't really know where we go from here. I just know I have to do my part locally to kind of lead and kind of be that one of the people in the front saying, here's how we fix it, and not be able to get into a point where in the community, be careful of this coming up. People bumping head on what should be done. And then when that happens, look at how many black people are in that room. You can't have 3 black people in the room and talk about the entire black community. So when you all go to these meetings and a lot of the leaders and the people who talk the most are white, know right then and there, they do not have black people interests at heart. You can't come to the table speaking for blacks without a black face. And not just one, a community. And I think that's where a lot of the programs, organizations that want to deal with race in Kent County has failed. It's 15 people and 12 of them white, and then it's the 3 blacks trying to help an entire community when those 3 blacks probably don't even connect with the Black community that they're talking about. And they probably have never walked through or been through or helped that community in years.
John,
So
you
we're a
mentioned
little bit past. Oh, we're a little bit past our 5:45. So I think Pat was. Did you want to say something, Pat?
Actually, I did, and I may be too late for this, but you talked in the beginning about solutions, and that economics is the first place to start, that that's the first step.
Community first, but then yes, the first level, correct.
Do you have some ideas about economic solutions for Kent County?
Yes, I do. I don't know if I want to give the whole gumbo out today, but I will say something like this. I'm trained in economic mobility, and just to break that down in non-program terms, it's providing financial resources and also helping financial goals be accomplished. So it could be something as small as saving $300 a month to put towards a car, or something as wide as a credit score of 750 or opening your own business. Kent County has to do better. If you ask right now, and everyone has seen this on social media, who are the Black businesses in Kent County? There's not even a list. So how should I feel, a self-employed Black man who left the inner city, came out here, made a living, producing a Black business that helps the entire community, and you don't even count me? Wow. It's racism right in front of our eyes. You don't even count Black businesses. So where citizens got to put a post up and try to gather that information. We have to start there first. Knowing how many Black businesses there are, how many Black owners, homeowners they are, how many Black franchises are here. Then look deeper. Well, how many loans are being given out to Black versus whites? And make sure it's not disproportionate. Whites outnumber Blacks here in Kent County. We got to level the playing field where the Blacks are getting the same exact treatment as the whites, not only in Kent County, but in America. So we have to go deeper before we even get to the economical part of our own businesses, our own hospitals, our own grocery stores, our own trade services, our own things where that money stays in the Black community. Before we even get there, you got to let us know we matter by counting us.
Wow.
So I think there was somebody else that was about to say something right before we wrap up. I try really hard to keep these discussions to our time frame so that people come back because they know they won't get stuck. So was it Zane?
It's Mary Jo.
Oh, Mary Jo, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I can't do both my picture and the voice because my internet service is so terrible. John, I'm very eager to hear about the rally that is happening this weekend, and I don't want to lose time. I don't want you to go away before we do hear about it.
How much time I got?
However much time it takes to tell about what's happening on Friday.
So the event on Friday, the Juneteenth rally, the reason I picked Juneteenth is African Americans look at that date as the date of independence for slavery. So I think it has a symbolic meaning as well. When I think Juneteenth, I don't think celebration. I think education and self-improvement. When I think Juneteenth, those are the things I think. The event is entitled, We Stand, Day of Agreement. And what's going to happen is we're all going to try to end this emotional roller coaster that we've been on in the last 2 weeks. We're not marching anymore. We're going to start standing against oppression, racism, and things in our community that are unjust. We're going to have a community mural where you can sign your name to this, and you're going to be held accountable for your actions. If you sign it, in these times when oppression, racism, and injustice happen in Kent County, regardless of what color that person is, we coming to knock on your door. It's also a day to kind of let you all hear the voice of the real community, not the token speakers that we always have, not the same handful of people that, and there's no shame to no organization because I fall in that. It's a handful of people that organizes all of these things, but we do a poor job of including everyone. You're going to hear from a 13-year-old Hispanic boy about how he feels. You're going to hear from a 22-year-old white female about how she feels. And then you're going to, of course, hear from Black men and women who are college educated, have their own businesses, to try to disperse some of these thoughts that we have about people around here. We're also going to have the band Dale Fox playing the entire event, because I don't want this event to be a moment where we're shaming whites or we're getting on blacks. This event is for the community to pick that day as a day we build and move forward together, and hopefully showcase the Black Union of Kent County and myself as at the forefront of real change, not just lip service and not just things of that nature. The sponsors are, as Mariah alluded to earlier, the Bayside Hoyas, Chestertown RiverArts, the James Taylor Remembrance Coalition. They're going to come give a presentation about the information of why they started and who James Taylor is. He was the last person lynched in Kent County, Maryland. And through a partnership with the Bayside Hoyas and the James Taylor Remembrance Coalition, I have a grant, well, a project called the Lynching Project. We're going to talk about James Taylor, and we're going to talk about 2 other men who were lynched in northern Queen Anne's County, but we're going to bring the past lynchings and show it as modern day lynching to kind of tie that together so people can understand that when an overseer on a plantation kind of jumped off the horse and killed the slave, it's the same thing the police are doing. They're just doing it from squad cars right now. You're going to hear about the Black Union levels of empowerment. You're going to hear a lot of things. You're going to see a big, big turnout from volunteers who all have put effort in to having this event happen, from artists to poets to entertainers to things where we can come together and have that feel-good moment at the end of the parade that we always have. Oh, that was so great. But also know in your mind, someone just gave you all the action steps to move forward and just go from there. I think it's going to be a very historical day in Kent County. I think it's a day that's going to kind of change the direction of the 40 and under generation or demographic, and it's going to be a powerful day. The planning that's been going on is going to be a powerful day.
All right. Thank you everyone for coming. I'll be very quick because we're past our time. But we like to end with a little toast at the end of these sessions because even though we're not technically quarantined anymore, we're all still pretty isolated, and we like to feel like we're connected with each other. We do these weekly discussions in order to kind of give ourselves a chance to see each other's faces on the screen and talk about things that are a little bit less surface level than we usually do. We stand against oppression, injustice, and racism. So let's toast to that. Thank you everybody for coming. Please come on Friday to the event and wear your mask and stay 6 feet away from everybody, but be there.
We will be enforcing social distancing. We will be enforcing that. I'm going to make you all spread out. If the PA, you can hear the PA, you're going to spread out.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And we will send a follow-up email after this, and we will have the video available in at the end of the week or early next week. And thank you all for coming, and have a wonderful night. And thank you, John, very much for coming and sharing your knowledge with us and reaching out, even though you didn't have to do that.
I do have to do it. At the end of the day, I am a leader in this community. Anytime you call and you all want to talk, reach out. The answer is always yes for RiverArts.
Thank you, John.
Thank you,
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.